let's
Okay.
go into our last story. That's a cat transition.
Yeah, okay. Ooh, on to the next one. Very, very last story for the night because we are hitting the 90-minute hour. Is Brooke van Velden mentioned twice there. In a rare moment, I thought. Doing a hell no.
Yeah, I heard about
Hell
that.
no, not on my watch. So I looked into this because I got really confused when I read the article, right?
Mm,
We're talking about the TAB.
yeah,
They put in a proposal to the government to say, hey, let us get into online gambling. Currently, there's legislation in the House to allow for TAB to stretch into online betting, I
yeah.
believe it is, but they will not allow them to go into online gambling, like casino type games and that sort of thing, because they don't want to extend their already current monopoly. So I was reading through this article and I was tried to get my head around it. Essentially, I had to use a bit of AI to get me there. That was essentially the difference because we had Brooke van Velden saying hell no, and then we had Winston Peters saying no but yes, and I couldn't figure it out what was going on. Essentially, the TLDR is the tab offered a $150 million deal to the government in a bid to secure a lucrative online casino license, according to documents obtained by RNZ. Sounds like corruption. Is technically legal, I believe. Technically legal. So they've essentially put forward a business case to say,
Yeah.
hey, we can fix the holes in your budget. We'll give you $150 million.
Right.
Look at the return we can make. Let us go into this market. Currently, the government is auctioning off 15 online casino licenses as it regulates online gambling for the first time, and local operators fear they'll end up in the hands of foreign-owned multinationals. So that's essentially which the to eat into the market share. The TAB, sorry, which is a statutory entity, is barred from offering online casino gambling under the current laws. It wrote to the ministers requesting a law change, saying its viability was under threat if it continued to be locked out of online casino market. Bullshit. Documents released to RNZ under the Official Information Act show the TAB every time. TAB told Internal Affairs Minister Brooke van Velden that it could offer up to a $150 million payment to the government. But the deal was knocked back. Not under my watch, Van Velden said to RNZ when whether she would allow the TAB to seek a license. Weird. Suddenly agreeing with Brooke van Velden, but I'm coming back to this. She says not under my watch. I don't believe that the government should be involved in casino gambling, she said. It's interesting. I look at the government trying to address the core services that people need in their lives, and providing an online service for casino games is not what I think government should be involved in. Remember that. TAB made an offering for an iGaming license in writing to Van Velden in December 2023. It is possible to get substantial capital payment to the government from selling the rights of iGaming in an exclusive market. We estimate that there's 150 million. Are you right, Luna? Just falling off. $150 million capital payment available for an exclusive market where there are one or two providers, the TAB said. The deal would meet the government's fiscal ambitions, the TAB told Van Velden. We can fix your hole in your budget. The operator could pay approximately $150 million upfront for the right to operate the business under a 10-year license, but I thought they were going broke. Winston Peters essentially has already put legislation towards to the House to open up the gambling laws to extend the TAB's monopoly, but this is in the sports and race betting online environment, so a little bit different. That's where I got confused because he was saying no, but then yes. Yeah, so a bit of a weird one. Sounds a bit dodgy when the there's a private, is it private, semi-private entity is trying to pay the government to change the laws, does it not?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did find it. I don't agree with what she said about the government shouldn't have any, like, because I personally think that is one place the government should have some kind of things in control. Because guess what? We have a fucking gambling problem in this country. because we also have mental health issues in this country, which tend to tie with bad things like alcoholism and gambling. So it's very ignorant to say that. However, I do agree that they shouldn't be allowed to, because I thought that the TAB was under like the lotteries. I think I thought it was kind of like the lotteries commission at first, where it was like they have to basically put a lot of it back into charities and stuff. But no, looking into it, that Intane um, business that basically runs them have a lot of bad shit. I don't know if you've seen like any of the articles about the company that manages TAB.
No? What?
So the TAB is now run by Entain, like
Yes,
almost like
yes, yep,
entertainment.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah, they
yep.
were I was looking, and there's just so many like articles about money laundering and see like losing, I think, 3 executives quit, and then another CEO just recently quit. They wrote off $322 million of value from the TAB New Zealand. That's also been investigated. So it's very clear that they're trying to get away with not actually putting money where and hiding money. It's very fucking dodgy.
Yes. Well, it gets a little bit weirder. This is where I'm going to end the
Yay.
story on. Found a bit weird, and I managed to see this little story on the side, and I thought, oh, what's this about? 11th of March. So a couple of weeks ago, or literally 10 days ago, offshore operators poised to dominate new online gambling market. There's some comments here from Brooke van Velden that make me slightly understand what she's actually trying to do. If I'm mistaken, tell me I'm wrong. This is talking about the foreign companies are set to dominate New Zealand's internet gambling market as the government auctions online casino license for the first time. So this is actually what we were talking about just before with the online gambling. Unlike Lotto, the TAB casinos, or the pokies, the successful bidders for the online casino licenses will not be required to pay any money to community groups.
Yeah.
Internal Affairs Minister Brooke van Velden, deputy leader of the ACT Party, told RNZ she expects large offshore gambling companies to win the majority of the 15 licenses auctioned off by the government.
Yep.
Offshore gambling companies.
Yeah.
We don't have a huge online gambling market, so I would expect it's mainly offshore providers. But she said that could change over time as licenses weren't forever. Somebody else could put forward their name and say, hey, I can do it better, and that would be up to the auctioneers and the DIA to figure out who could do it better. If someone is a bad operator, DIA can always revoke their license. Now, we have the Sky City who chimed in. So the document showed that Sky City Casino and the TAB wrote to the minister strongly opposing government's moves to open up a large market with 15 operators. So, a bit of, the whole duopoly, not wanting to open up the market. Fair point. We're all a bit like, ooh, about that. The Sky City said the safest way to ensure online casino profits are subject to New Zealand income tax is to only allow incorporated New Zealand companies to hold licenses and not permit a license to be held by a foreign company or a New Zealand branch of a foreign company.
Yeah.
Fair point. Fair point. Van Velden's comments. But Van Velden told RNZ the casino was looking after its own interests. This talking about Sky City. They are looking out for themselves, right? I'm not here to look out for Sky City. I'm not here to look out for any established particular casino or their brands. I'm here to ensure that they have fair marketplace and fair regulated market. And that is also said tilting the playing field in favour of local operators could breach New Zealand's free trade agreements. I've considered whether or not it should be domestic priority or offshore priority. I think it's fair just to allow anybody to bid one of these licenses rather than try and say, just because you're here and you've been established for years in New Zealand, you're necessarily a better operator.
Fucking
Is anyone
stupid.
picking up the vibes?
Well, that's the thing is, yeah, it's very clear that she knew who she wanted. It was all the international money, that broligarchy money, that Atlas Network money. Because actually, I read that, and I actually had it in one of our notes if we had time to put it in. And yeah, like it's concerning. I don't
So she's
like.
essentially saying TB have written and said, TAB have written and said, hey, we can pay $150 million if you can change the legislation and let us go into the online casino gambling market, right? And she said, hell no, because we don't want you to have a monopoly.
That's
So
yeah. That's
she doesn't want them to be able to get ahead of the line and instead not even be able to bid for those 15 places. Van Velden wants to go for offshore companies.
Yep.
So, and she's essentially criticizing Sky City and Tab, New Zealand, supposedly, New Zealand companies, established here in New Zealand, I would say, for the most part. She doesn't want them playing the game or showing favorability because she thinks they're just looking out for their own interests.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're not surprised. This is from the same party that thinks that tangata whenua should have no fucking say on what happens in this country. They don't respect people who live here. They respect rich people from other countries. Like all of the decisions they have made have shown who they respect, and it is not mom and pops. It is not fucking squeeze middles. It is not children. It is not the poor, the disabled, or even honestly, unless you're in the upper class, like honestly, they don't give a shit about you. Everything has been very clear, and that's yeah. They've clearly set up all the dominoes from the beginning to do it this way. I mean, how long have Pat and Chewie been saying like this is what they're probably going to do, and then it keeps happening, and it's
Yeah.
just.
So I'm not advocating for gambling. I do not like it one bit. But when I first saw that first article, or the most recent article, I was like, hey, Van Velden, you said hell no to this. You don't want to increase TAB's, gambling market. You don't want to you don't want to see them have a monopoly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually not the case. The case is that she wants overseas money coming into the country and exploiting us. And essentially, the fact that we're having 15 people going for licenses in the online gambling casino space, like, that in itself is horrific. But the fact that that's going to be from a bidding war from offshore companies that are harder to regulate,
Oh yeah.
harder to control.
And I mean, as it is,
That's concerning.
The TAB is sort of already controlled by an international entity. That's why they did that alleged potential money laundering. I mean, even when we go back to the videos we were watching earlier, right? Everything they've done is setting it up in the exact same way. Like the people who might have just seen the article you saw would have gone, "Oh wow, that sounds really good." Like they were saying, 30% of people they get roped in because things sound good on paper, but then you start to put together all the other pieces, and next thing you know, oh, it's actually a trap.
Yep.
And it's fucking terrifying.
Yep. You just kind of need to look under the covers a little bit. And I honestly wouldn't have seen that if I didn't see the headline on the other side of the thing that said related stories. And I looked at that and I thought, oh, that's interesting. That was only 10 days ago.
Right?
And I would have missed that. And then suddenly when I read that, because I was like, Van Velden on the side of the people?
Yeah.
Something doesn't add up here. This doesn't align with her party's policies.
Yep. If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Now I know why.